Hello friends, how's it going? It's Saturday, what's today, December 14th, 10 a.m. Today I have potentially a busy day. Right now I'm heading to Ducati of Austin. They're gonna showcase and reveal the brand new Panigale V4S at their shop. And so I'm gonna go down there and do that and see if I can interview some people, take some pictures of the bike. So join me today on my little adventure. But yeah, I'm gonna go get some gas now and then I'll jump on the highway and head to Ducati. It's about a 20-minute ride for me. Okay, we're all fueled up, ready to go. Okay, let's go. Alright, so I'm just gonna jump on the highway here. So I took my liner out of my jacket. Don't need it. Just got one base layer underneath it, and I feel perfectly comfortable. Really digging this jacket. I just released a video about this jacket actually, not too long ago. So I'll put that up here in the corner somewhere if you want to check it out. Look at all the Ducatis. Nice. Alright, well, we're here. Gonna go check it out. Yeah, so I'm gonna meet up here with Vito, the general manager, and we're gonna go over the new bike and its specs and all that. And I'm so glad that the weather changed. Look at that. Awesome. Alright, let's go hit it. All right, friends, we're here with Vito at Ducati Austin. I'm going to show you something real special in a minute. How you doing, Vito?
Great. How you doing, Jeff?
Good to see you. Good to see you. So what we got here in front of you?
We got over here the brand new 2025 7th generation Panigale V4S. This one in particular will be our demo bike in the coming weeks. So it already has on actually the Ducati Performance high mount exhaust system on it. Other than that, this is the bike that will be available for people to purchase. We've already delivered our first V4 this week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I've read on my own, I don't know enough about it, but I know there's tons of stuff changed.
Sure.
What are the major things that have been that we could see that are on this bike that are different from last year?
Well, let's start from the back because that's probably the most controversial part of the bike.
Okay.
That people were concerned about because it's a big change for Ducati. But it goes sort of back to the other days when Ducati started in World Superbike, which is the dual arm. So what Ducati calls it the hollow symmetrical arm versus what everyone sort of thought about Ducati, the single-sided arm like you see on the bike behind me, the Panigale V4 from 2024. So the dual arm, the main reason for it is Ducati course wanted something that would have reduced lateral stiffness. It's about 37% less stiff than the current one, so that when you're at greater lean angles, it gives you better edge grip, especially when the tires are worn, and better feel for the rider, the connection between the front and rear axle. So yeah, some people don't like the way it looks because it's very iconic with Ducati, single-sided arm, but performance-wise, it's what the riders and the course team really wanted. So performance is probably the most important thing with Ducati.
Okay.
And I think for a dual arm, it's quite beautiful.
Let's take a peek right behind you
Sure.
real quick at the last year kind of look of that single-sided swing arm compared to what we're looking at here today with this one, which wrap around. So that's what you got. Okay.
So from there, we go to the whole bodywork, which is a complete redesign for the bike. They've moved the wings forward for better aerodynamics. They still maintain the dual plane design.
Are they're about the same size though?
Yeah, about the same size,
Just different
slightly
position?
larger, and they're moved forward for better aerodynamics. The front of the bike is inspired by the 916 and the Desmo Sedici, a little bit smoother, and one really nice cosmetic feature they've moved the mirrors underneath the fairings. So instead of mounting on the outside where you have to put block-offs, they're mounted underneath. So it comes off really nice. The other thing on the bodywork is they've moved the front fairing further back a little bit to allow a little better cross-flow ventilation across there. And then what you don't see is the whole bodywork is designed from the front to the tail to let air flow better through the bike to increase cooling, comfort for the rider. With that, the cooling on the bike has been increased, so it's more effective, especially for when you're at a track. You'll have better cooling. The radiator for water and oil have been increased and then effectively increased by the better aerodynamics of the bike. On the tank, for ergonomics, the tank has been redesigned, so it's a little slimmer, a little bit more cutout, so that you can lock in better and prevent sliding forward. The seat is about 50 millimeters wider, roughly 2 inches, to give you better support on the bike. There'll be options.
Yeah, and this is like you were just saying, this is already built onto the bike.
Yep.
It's like very grippy.
Yep, and this is so you can better lock in.
Sure.
For either cornering or braking. There'll be options to increase this to better lock you in when you're on the track. But the whole bike has been redesigned basically for better ergonomics, especially when you're on the track and on the street. They've also pulled in these rear sets, so they're in 10 millimeters tighter so that you can get your body in tighter on the bike.
So if you're a taller rider, you'll be able to sit back a little bit further.
And it's a little
if you're
wider.
Shorter like me, you might want to buy something to push you forward.
Right, and there'll be different. There'll be a 20 millimeter and a 40 millimeter, basically replacement that you can buy. That'll help push you forward. So especially when you're on the track and you don't want to be sliding backwards.
Yeah, definitely.
So that on the ergonomics of the bike. Then the one thing that doesn't get talked about a lot is the engine. The engine has basically also been redesigned. It's a little bit lighter, about 2 pounds. The overall, the bike is, I think, about 11 pounds lighter. On the engine, they've lightened up the camshafts. Part of the clutch componentry. A few other pieces in the engine have all been reduced in weight. What they did is they took lessons learned off the Panigale V4R and the Superleggera and applied them to this bike. So overall, the engine's lighter. Increase the cooling. Horsepower still is 209, and they changed it has variable length intakes, and they've adjusted those for the long duct side and then the short duct side to smooth out the performance of the bike.
Now on the HP part of what you just said, so it's 109 out of the box.
209.
I'm sorry, 209 out of the box, and this one came with a full akrapovic system. Is that increase the HP?
So we installed this. So it's the full.
Okay, you guys put it on. Okay.
Yeah, we install it. They don't come from the factory this way.
Oh, okay.
So this one has the full akrapovic titanium system, which increases horsepower, reduces weight, and improves torque on the bike.
And it sounds better, probably.
Sounds spectacular. We'll start it up.
Okay.
Then on the suspension of the bike, there's been quite a bit changes also, even though it looks very similar to the old one. They've changed the Olin suspension. It's the MPX. It's a pressurized fork. They changed how the valving works on the bike now. So it reacts quicker, greater sensitivity, and a wider range of adjustments on the S model. The standard model uses still the big piston Shoei fork, which they increased travel on that by 5 millimeters. On the rear suspension, it's a whole new linkage derived from the MotoGP bike. So now it's a one-piece forged part. It's a new Olin's TTX, and it's all the Olin Smart 3.0 electronic semi-active suspension.
And how about the TFT system in the front here?
Sorry. Yeah, that is a major change. Electronics on the bike. So now the dash is a 16:9 ratio, full TFT color. Pop it on.
Ooh, there we go.
So there's multiple modes on how the dash will look on the track, or on the track or the street. Right now it's in Race A Evo, which is what you would usually use for the track. On the street you'd probably run it a little different because there's 5 ride modes on the bike, and those ride modes are fully customizable. Way more options than what was on the current 6G or 2024 model. There's more information that's available on the dash that you can see as you go through it. Once the bike was started, you can go into it. It's quicker, easier to adjust on the fly. Things like your traction control, your slide control, your wheelie control, your engine braking, and your ABS. You can see now your power levels, your torque levels. There's a G meter. Yeah.
Those are all values of like 1 to 4 or 3 or whatever it comes up to.
Yep.
Customized.
So now you can see your lap timer. You can reconfigure the dash on the fly for G meter.
Wow. Lean angles.
Braking, throttle, and your lean angle. So if you lean the bike, you'll see it now go to that way, back to this way. So it's very similar to what those graphics a lot of times that you see in MotoGP that are superimposed on there.
Sure.
A lot of things like that. There's accessory-wise, there's an updated data logger. So it used to be, they used to have what was called DDA. Now it's a true data logger powered by D2. There's approximately 70 parameters that will be loaded into the bike. All the different parameters: brake pressure, throttle, lean angle.
Wow.
Your pitch, yaw, and does mapping of the track that you're on. There's going to be 500 preloaded tracks into the system. Several of the tracks, mostly probably the European ones, will have like intermediate times, so you can see what your intermediate times are on track, and they'll already have predefined start-finish lines based on what the race is.
Oh.
But you can also still put in where you want your start-finish line for your track day enthusiast that may want it in a different point on the track.
It's pretty much what the MotoGP guys get. They get all that stuff.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
It's a way more professional, engineer-focused data logging system than the old one, which would have some number of parameters that were nice for the track. This one's just way more intense, way more adjustability, and probably one of the biggest electronic upgrades on the bike is the new eCBS, which is the new braking system on the bike. So what that does, it mimics how a professional rider would use the rear brake when they apply the front brake. So most average track day enthusiast street riders have a little bit of a difficult time probably using the rear brake at the track, because most pro riders now run a thumb brake, and on the street that's not an option right now. So using the rear brake while you're leaned over hanging off the bike is very difficult. So what the bike does is when you're applying the front brake now, it applies, depending on what mode you're in, anywhere from 7% to about 15, a little over 15% rear brake. So it mimics like what you would do if you're a GP rider to control basically your traction. You're basically able to tighten up your turn by applying that rear brake, keep the suspension settled. So it mimics that. So from anywhere from the casual person to even a pro level rider, it's going to help you with the braking system, your deceleration. You're able to tighten up your lines with the new braking system.
That's pretty cool.
And it's adjustable, has multiple levels, and that's one of the things about Ducati. Almost every parameter and every mode is adjustable based on the model that you model that you want to ride.
Yeah, and that's that I think is a great tool to help the rider grow with the bike too.
Yeah.
And learn what the bike can do and can't, and what they can and can't do. That's pretty cool.
The road dash is a little bit different. So you see it has the round tack, it has some different things, and you can also change what you're seeing, because on the street you'll want to see your consumption, your total, your trip meters, and all that kind of information.
Does it have tire pressure and all that
You
stuff?
can get TPMS as an option for the bike.
Okay.
You can also get optional cruise control, and you can get optional USB ports for if you want to plug in accessories. The cruise control, though, will not work when you put it on the race map with the racing exhaust system.
I would hope not.
Yeah. I was hoping for cruise control at Coda. Oh, the other thing we didn't mention is the throttle is basically what was done on the R model. So if you're used to, a lot of people didn't like that the old ones had 7 degrees of angular free play, where this one had 0.
Oh, so the old
So
one
this
you
is-
could kind of
if
twist
you,
a little bit, and there wasn't.
Yeah, if you
anything
felt this one, so you,
Okay, let's go check this
which
out.
is typically on a street bike you have free play. So
bit of
people
play there.
a little bit of sense.
There's no play there.
0.
Yeah, it is locked in.
When you first ride the bike, like my R
There's
was the
nothing.
first one that came out with this throttle, you need to be a little bit more precise on your throttle. Yeah, then the other thing, but just little nuance things. Now when you shut off the bike, the headlight will stay on for so many seconds. They call it home mode, so that basically you have some light on if you're pulling to something dark. And then the rear brake, now depends on the market too. The rear brake will flash as you're braking harder, progressively, sort of like
Oh,
the
that's
safety
nice.
feature you've seen on a lot of stuff. So it
Yeah,
will
I do that with my foot. Boom, boom, boom.
I do it when I come to a stop. And then one other thing that we didn't talk about is the brake, or the brake calipers are a new design from Brembo, Hyper Pure. They're basically lighter, improved cooling, so for also improved performance on the brake on this model. This is the same brake will be on the V4 and the V4S. There's also a model that was just introduced in Miami a couple days back, the Tricolore. The Tricolore will have a different braking system. It will have still the Hyper Pure, but with a different finish. But it'll have Brembo T-drive rotors, and anyone that's probably a track day enthusiast or a Brembo fan knows the T-drives versus the round buttons. The T-drives basically lock up a little different. It's in the shape of a T, but those will also be high-mass rotors. So for better cooling, they'll add a little weight, but on the Tricolore, they're going to offset it with carbon wheels. So they'll have little fins that are coming across here, and they'll be thicker by 1.5 and 8 millimeters bigger in diameter to have better brake performance on the Tricolore. And that bike will be limited to 1,000 units worldwide.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyone that's interested in that bike, you can go online and see the basically the new design of the Tricolore. One side red, one side green with a lower checkerboard.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's every generation of, since the super bikes, they've always come out with to commemorate the new generation of Tricolore edition. It's a unique paint scheme just for that model.
All right, Vito, thanks so much for showing us this lovely beast next to you here. I really appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thanks
Thanks.
for coming in today.
Yeah. All right, friends. Well, that's it from Ducati of Austin. Hope you enjoyed that preview of the new Panigale V4S. Pretty cool bike. So that's it. We'll see you next time. Please subscribe, thumbs up, share, all that wonderful stuff. Love it. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll see you again next time. Later.